Welcome everyone to part 11 in this UNET tutorial series, and in this video I'm going to implement respawning. So in the previous video the player can get destroyed. Now we need to bring them back. So I'm going to make a new script called player respawn. And before I get carried away with that, I'll edit the player health script as well to have a new event and also take account of when the player's health is not 0 and they've recovered from their destruction. So it's going to be a public delegate void, and I'm going to call it respawn delegate. Okay, and then next I'm going to have the event, so public event, and it's going to be of the type respawn delegate, of course, and the name of the variable is event respawn, and that's it. Okay, and what I'm going to do is to check if the player's health has increased. So if they are in the dead state, my system, what I'm going to do is in my respawn script, when the player respawns, all it's going to do is send a command to the server to tell it to reset the player's health to 100. So then that, of course, will then get transmitted across the network with the sync var. And then what will happen is that inside this function check condition, that health increase will be noted, and the player is currently in the is dead condition, because in the player death script we set is dead to true. So since that is true, then the event respawn will be activated. So I might as well just type that out. So if health greater than or equal to, greater than 0 and is dead, then if event respawn is not equal to null, then I should activate the event respawn. There we go. Alright, and then finally set the flag off, so is dead is equal to false. And I'm going to just make a function here which I'm going to access from my respawn script, which is public void reset health. And this is very simple. All it is health is equal to 100. Done. Okay, and I'm pretty sure that's all I needed to do for my health script. So I will now go ahead and open up the player respawn script and get to work there. And actually, no, before I do that, let me go and make a respawn button. In my canvas, all I will do is add in a UI button. I will, it's positioned exactly where I want it, so I'm just going to call it a respawn button. And I don't think I need to change anything else. I just need a button, really. Okay, but there is something. I should change the text, obviously. The word button doesn't make much sense there, so respawn. Oops, I'm writing in the wrong place. Not there. Over here. Respawn. And that will do. See, there is something. I want the button disabled, of course. When you join the game, you don't want to see the button there, right? And if I deactivated that button by code when the player spawned, for example, then when they're joining for the very first time into the game, there's a bit of a lag before their player is properly spawned. So they will see the button flash on the screen, which doesn't look so good. And once you've disabled a game object, you can't find it. So because obviously when the player dies, I want the button to appear. So I need to find the button and keep a reference to it somewhere. But I can't, because when it's disabled like this, you can't find a disabled object. So I'm going to do something else. I'm going to make a empty game object. I will call it the game manager. And I'll just reset the position, and what I'll do is I'll make a new script called game manager references, and I'm going to keep a reference to that button inside of this script. Okay. So I won't need any functions in here, just a variable. So public game object, and this is going to be the respawn button. All right, done. So now on this, I should drop in the script and come back to the canvas here, and I'll drop in my button. Now I can come from my respawn script and access the button, enable it, and then, well, let things progress from there. Okay, so that's it. I'll save this scene, go back to my menu scene. Now I'll go to my respawn script and start filling that in. Okay, so as usual, I need using Unity engine .networking, and I also need UI as well, since it's a button and I'm going to do some stuff as well, like give the button a function to run by code. Next, I want a reference to the player health script, so that I can reset the health. I need a reference to the crosshair as well, so private image, crosshair image. This is something I could have also put in the game manager references. That would have been a logical place to put it as well. Oh well, but anyway, public game object respawn button. No, why is it public? Why should I put public? I'm thinking about it. I've already done that, so I just need to do private, really. Private game object respawn button. All right. Now in my start function, I'll go ahead and set up those references. So quite quickly, health script is equal to get component player health, and I would then, of course, subscribe to the event. So health script dot event respawn, and I'm going to have to make a function for this, plus equal to a function that I'll call enable player. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and just make that down here. I'll just call it void enable player. All right. Okay, so that's done. Now for my crosshair image, that's going to be game object.find. So I have that in my player det script. So why don't I go get it from there? There we are. Oops. All right. And then I'm going to have another function, which is going to be called set respawn button. So I'm going to make this function right now. So void set respawn button. And this is where I'm actually going to activate the button and give it a function to run. And it should only happen on the local player. So of course, whenever the remote clients are respawning, you don't want them activating the respawn button, though you're not even destroyed. So of course, we don't want that to happen. So if is local player. One moment, let me just check on that, what I'm trying to do. Yeah, that does make sense, but you know, of course I have to first make this derived from network behavior. So if is local player, then in that case respawn button is equal to game object.find. What game object is that? That's the game manager. And I'm going to get the component references. And what am I getting? It's the respawn button. Okay. And then I will make a function for that respawn button. I will call that commence respawn. So I'm going to call it void commence respawn, and I'll run a command in this when I get to it. But more importantly, I now need to tell the respawn button that this is the function that you're going to run. So dot get component, and what am I getting? I'm getting a button. All right. Now in the button, there's a on click. All right, and then in onClick, I have add listener, and then commence respawn. Okay, so what this is doing here, what's happening here is that basically the button, if I go back to it, has this place here on click. So all I'm doing is to add in a function that should run when the button is clicked. That's all I'm doing with that line of code. All right. And I guess just in case if we left the button active, then why not just set active false? Okay. And I guess I'll continue with, let me think, with the commence respawn function. And here I'm going to make a command. It's going to be called cmd respawn on server. And all I'm going to do is reset the player's health here. So coming here, it's a command, and it's going to be a void that. All right. And all I'm going to say is health script dot reset health, and that's it. So that is going to make the health 100, and then across the network the health is going to be 100 because the player was dead at the time. Then the event respawn will be run, and then I need to enable the player. Okay, so for that, I wonder, can I just copy the stuff from the player death script and just reverse it? Maybe I can. Okay, maybe I can do that without running into too many problems. I'll give it a try. Okay, so for the character controller, it'll now be true. It's going to be enabled. The player shoot script will be enabled now because they're getting respawned. The box collider true as well. Now for each renderer, turn them back on. And then what else? The health, no, this one. Now I don't need this anymore, so I should get rid of that. And if it's the local player, then in that case, of course, I want to set this to true. And I want to turn back on my crosshair image. And it's a good thing I see that here, that I need to do something in the player death script as well, which is to turn on the respawn button. So I need to go and do that on that script. But before I'm not entirely done here, so I also have to put in the Unity function on disable, and just say here that when the player leaves the game or the script is disabled, then event respawn, unsubscribe from it. The enable player function. Okay. Alright, let me think. Is there anything else? I don't believe I need an update function. Pretty sure I've got everything there. Alright, so in that case, I'll go and have a look at the player death script and come down here. And of course I need to get a reference to that respawn button. So maybe I can do it in the same style. Like that, or can I just use this? Dot respawn button dot set active true. I think that'll work. That looks like it should work. Okay, what else? Will my system work? Let me just check for errors. Doesn't look like I have any. I suppose I have to attach the script, right? Okay, coming down to the scripts to respawn, drop that in, and apply. Okay, delete the player. I'll give it a try. Let's see what happens. Alright. So if I shoot away, okay, the respawn button appeared. If I click it, the respawn button didn't go away. So, I've probably just forgotten to write something pretty simple, something just to disable the respawn button, really, once I've clicked it. So I suppose when I did the commence respawn, is that the place to do it? Let me think. Or, I know. Since I'm doing stuff here in the if is local player, I can put something here. I can say respawn button dot game object. Wait a minute. It is a game object, isn't it? Respawn button. Yeah, no. Yeah, I was thinking of buttons for some reason. Respawn button dot set active is false. Okay, so that should just take that bug out. Let me try that again. So the player did respawn, so that much looked like it worked. Okay. Player got destroyed. Their respawn is active. You see you can't move around or anything. Okay. Alright, so then back in the game. Yep, I can move around. I can shoot the other player. Good. And the player's destroyed. And yep, back in the game. So what if I guess launch more of these? Okay, so I can see there are 2 other players in the game. I don't know who's who. Why don't I just shoot them? That's one. Okay, so that was the editor player. Okay, and I destroyed the other player, and we saw them get destroyed in that other screen. Which is good. Okay, so respawn. What if I shoot the player who was doing all the shooting? Yep. So, yeah, okay, they got destroyed. I'd say it's working. Why don't I try something else? Since I'm bug checking, since I'm just looking for bugs. Okay, so I just destroyed the host player there. Now why don't I disconnect? Connect is a new player. Okay, I can't see the host player because they're destroyed, which is good. Who is the host? Must be player 1, right? The first one to have come in. Good. Player 1 is in fact disabled. The other client can see only one other player, the new one who joined. That's good. And here's the host who's destroyed. If I hit respawn, well, the host is back in the game and they appeared in the editor view, which is the new player who joined. And this guy can see the host as well. Let me just check like the positions are correct as well. That there isn't some problem with that. There should not be whatsoever. It looks right. What about here? Yep, these guys are both in boxes. This guy's on a box. That guy's on a smaller box. Yeah, okay. Alright, so that's excellent. The system is working. So there you go. I have respawn working pretty nicely. And all I did was I just added one more command. So to just recap what exactly I did in this video, first of all, I updated the health script to have a new event called event respawn, and I put in a new function so that I could reset the health, and this function would be called by the respawn script, so called by player respawn. I'll just put that note in there so I know what is calling this. Then in my player respawn script, I also made a game manager references and I dropped the button in here because when the button is disabled, I can't find it in the start function and I'll never be able to enable it, and I want to be able to enable it without it having to flash on the screen first and disappear or any funny stuff like that. Okay, then in the player respawn script, I set up my respawn button, and all I did was to just add the function commence respawn to that, and it was a super simple function, which is just to say to run this command, and the command, all it does, it goes back to the health script and resets the player's health, and then the health is synced across the network, and because of that, that's why the respawn event gets enabled, and when the respawn event gets enabled, then the the enable player function is activated, and this happens on every single player, remote clients and the local player. Just additionally for the local player, then there's these other things that happen as well. And on the player death script, all I did was just enable the respawn button when the player is destroyed, and that was it. So as you can see, it's a really simple system. Very little code, quite simple. The thing that maybe you could do is to just add in a because at the moment the player respawns exactly where they died. You could quite easily just make a function that collects the spawn points, puts them in an array, and then you pick one of the spawn points at random, and then you move the player to that spawn point, to that randomly chosen spawn point inside this enable player function, for example. And you can do that inside the local function, inside this is local player check, and that'll then automatically be synced across the network, and no problem then. It'll be all done for you. Okay, so that's it for this video. I think in the next video, I'm thinking about it, either I might do another efficiency type video, or I may start on bots, zombie bots, and then, or I may start on the UI. So one of these three things I'm likely to go to in the next video. But until then, thank you for watching, and see you next time.